Hello everybody and welcome back to Phyzik Reviews. If you enjoyed today's review, please do leave a like and subscribe if you want to help support me and my channel. Let's get to it. So I just saw The House That Jack Built. This is Lars Von Trier's latest film. This is a fantastic director. This guy is incredible when it comes to audio-visual tone. He's very talented, but he's also very arrogant, and that is a problem that is becoming more and more prevalent in his films. This is the director behind Antichrist, Melancholia, Nymphomaniac, and lots of other great films. I'm not saying Nymphomaniac is anywhere near as good as his other work, because this is when his arrogance started to show. Basically, the film is about a serial killer. It is about a killing spree that goes over a 12-year period, and he bases the film on 5 separate incidents, as they're called. 5 separate incidents where in each one someone dies, basically, and it shows the progression of how his killing gets more and more excessive. The film really is about Lars Von Trier himself. It's about violence and it's about art. It's a lot about how shocking a lot of movies have become, and how shocking things have to be to get a message out these days. It's about how we've become very much what's the word? How we've become desensitized to violence. It's also about I would say it's actually a dark comedy in some aspects. Definitely a bit of a dark comedy. For example, on one of his murders, this guy has severe OCD. So as he's leaving the crime scene, he sits in his van just about to leave, and then he's picturing that there will be blood that he hasn't cleaned up under the rug, or blood that he hasn't cleaned up behind the picture. So he goes in, checks, and obviously there's no blood, because he's so anal that he's already cleaned it to death. And then he'll go back out, sit in his truck, think about more areas where there could be blood. Even though he can hear sirens coming, his OCD takes over. So there's comedy aspects to it like that. Apparently in Cannes Film Festival, you had hordes of people leaving as they were watching it, because it is so disturbing and graphic and violent. This is the unrated version though, which I haven't seen. I've only seen the standard version, so I haven't seen how excessive the violence is in the normal one, in the unrated one, but in this one it's not too over the top. And basically he has a character that he talks to in his head called Verge, who comes into play more later in the film. It's the voice of an older man, but I can see why this character exists, and I know this character exists so Lars Von Trier can force his opinions into the film, and so he can explain everything that's happening. And he did this exact same thing in Nymphomaniac. There was an old man again that the protagonist would talk to, and he would just explain what's happening in the scenes in the film. I think it's a bit over the top, and you can really see how arrogant he is in this when he ends up later in the film showing clips from films he's already made, like Antichrist. It's like, what is happening here? Yeah, I get that it's to prove a point and everything, but it's like he doesn't even make real films anymore. It's a rather weird thing to do, but there's aspects to this Verge character that I like and think works, and at other times I'm shocked and amazed at how pretentious and arrogant he is, because a lot of his decision making in his films, you start to think, like, what was the point of that? Why did he do that? And then people will act like it's for art, or there's a reason behind it, when really it's not. He's just doing it for the sake of it. But nevertheless, aside from these things, I did really enjoy it. I thought it was pretty fantastic, actually. It's a very long film, coming in at 2.5 hours. I thought the person who played the protagonist, I haven't got his name up, but that's bad of me, pulled off a fantastic performance. Is it Mark Dillon? Something like that. He was very good at playing this OCD psychopath. And he was an absolute psychopath. He's very arrogant, he's very belittling of people, he thinks he's right 24/7, he's manipulative, and I think there are some really clever scenes. For example, there's one scene where he's trying to get into this woman's house, so he pretends to be a police officer and does a really bad job of it, but then in the end all he has to do is say he can help to double this person's pension, and she lets them right in. As well as this character is getting away with all these murders over and over again, and I think he's trying to prove a point of, you know, of how little people pay attention to things, and he gets to a stage where he's asking this girl to scream and to shout out the windows to get help, and he starts shouting as well. He's like, help, help, to prove a point that no one will come to aid them. So I think there's some clever ideas going on in this film. Definitely are some clever ideas going on, and I do like a lot of it. It's just him jerking himself off that I'm not a big fan of. But yeah, he's incredibly talented when it comes to his cinematography, the tone he can create through visuals and audio. You can see that so incredibly well done in Antichrist. You have these slow motion scenes that look just like a dream, so surreal, so bizarre, and yeah, he's incredibly talented when it comes to that. There even may be some criticism of himself and his beliefs in being a Nazi, because he's said at Cannes Film Festival that he is a Nazi, and which just blows me away. He started talking about how he thinks Hitler made a lot of right decisions. So that's some messed up stuff I don't really understand, but whatever. He's an interesting guy. He's an interesting guy indeed. Especially considering how messed up his films are. But it's very much about himself, and it's about violence in art, and I like it for the most part. So I'm going to give The House That Jack Built a 7.5 out of 10. Thank you very much, guys. If you've enjoyed today's review, please do leave it a like and subscribe if you want to help support me and my content. Thank you so much. I will see you for the next mini review. Take care, guys.